Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, whichever it might be. I have a new song for you called Sentimental Seasons. I've been deep in thought since last night after watching a film called Sullivan's Travels. I had never seen that before. A friend recommended it. I absolutely loved it. Had lots of thought-provoking elements to it. The first part of the film was very funny. I was laughing quite a lot. And then later in the film brought me to tears and I was getting really nervous. I won't tell you what happened because I'm hoping you'll watch the movie. But the context of when the film was produced is pretty fascinating too, because it was released December 29th of 1941. So, it was in this month, right, of almost a century ago. And it was released then, that means just a couple weeks after the attack on Pearl Harbor. So I wonder how that influenced the reception of the film. I'm curious about that. 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, man, that was a rough time in this country, wasn't it? We had the World War I, we had the Great Depression, we had the Dust Bowl in this part of the country, and that was absolutely tragic. It made people lose their minds. In this state, there was even an incidence of really, people lost their minds. People were starving, they were crazy. The rabbits were eating up all that was left of anything that might be growing. And so in a violent frenzy of desperation, some people in this state got together and they just were clubbing rabbits. They were just clubbing them. One kid, one person who was reflecting on this from their childhood had discussed, there's a fly there, had discussed just the absolute horror of actually hearing the squeals and shrieks of the rabbits. Do rabbits make shrieks? I don't know, I guess. And so the thing was, this was done in such a way, it was just a release of rage. The rabbits couldn't even be processed to eat. So this was a waste of food that could have fed people, but people were going nuts. People were going crazy. You can't blame them for that. The Dust Bowl was truly, truly horrific. Nobody could even imagine that now in this generation. So you got that. And then you have World War II then is beginning. And this book is really good. It's called The Forgotten Man by Amity Shlaes. It's an interesting book because she kind of makes, or he, I don't know that name, makes the argument that it was probably getting into World War II that saved our economy from the break, because the government had significantly increased its budget and this had actually extended the Great Depression. That's another interesting point to consider. 1941 was also when Tugwell went to Puerto Rico. That's a subject of interest to me because my mom's from Puerto Rico. He went to Puerto Rico to, establish a central planning socialist utopia there. To this day, Puerto Rico is struggling with its infrastructure. It's a beautiful island, beautiful culture, beautiful language, and a lot of people talk about the question of whether or not it should become a state. I personally don't want it to, just because every single time our country adopts a new territory into a state, we completely obliterate and erase the indigenous culture that's there. And so it'd be a real tragedy to lose the unique culture of Puerto Rico. It's very, very fun environment. As far as people are very friendly, everybody's into each other's business as well. It is an island, but anyway. So there's also many different subjects and issues that are connected. And this is not intended to be a political video, okay? Just to clarify, none of what I'm saying right now is intended to bolster, support, deny, or argue for a particular system of some kind or another. I feel like there's so many different issues that get ignored as we argue about certain particular ones, and who knows what's of any real consequence, actually. So, but I do think the context of when this movie was released is very, very interesting. Oh, one more thing. Since this was written made in the 1940s, of course, there are elements of it that would be offensive to a modern audience, and rightly so, but we don't live in a vacuum. The past is there to inform us, and we can't live through it ourselves, so we're not going to really truly understand it, but that art and that creativity and that experience that's been passed on to us is a treasure. Even the ugly parts, even the grotesque and horrible parts, because it's still an opportunity to give ourselves some context. So hope you check it out.
Midnight, windows open, I hear owls hooting in the dark, searching for their mate. Frogs croak, birds whistle in the valley, just as sunrise calls and breaks a brand new day. It's too hard to let you go. I think of you, whether rain or snow. If summer sun or wind and fall leaves come, I find myself thinking of you. Fires stirring in the hearth now. Winter cold is serving a steamy cup of blues. I know Santa's going down the chimney, and I am getting weary of wishing it was you. Sometimes life can make it hard to see our way. Sometimes people come to us and they don't stay. But then there's times when even though we go so far, someone doesn't leave a heart. Sometimes life can make it hard to see our way. Sometimes people come to us and they don't stay. But then there's times when even though we go so far, someone doesn't leave a heart. Someone doesn't leave